Welcome to this Asexual Reproduction virtual lab. In this image, this is a plant, flowering plant, called a purslane. It does very well in hot weather and drought conditions and does very well here in Oklahoma. What we're going to look at in this lab is the asexual reproduction type of a cutting. In this image, you can see that I am taking a cutting of one stem from the overall plant. I am adding it to a jar of plain old water in the house, and I've added nothing to the water, no fertilizer, plain water, plain plant, sticking it in a sunny window. This is just 6 hours later, and what do you already notice in the jar? Well, it took long enough. Let's check this out. What do you see sprouting there at the end? This has been not quite 2 weeks. It's been about 12 days. So it's day 14. It's been exactly 2 weeks. Here's what it looks like now. They have really shot out in the last couple of days. And as a side note, I have not added anything to the water. There's no plant food or anything. Straight sun, straight water. Today is day 23, and let's take a look at our cutting. See what it's looking like. Wow, look at that. Day 35. Look, it's looking really healthy with some good green leaves. Look at our root system. I think it's about time to put it in some dirt. Day 42. Look how healthy and green our cutting is. Pull it out. Nice root system. Look there, we actually have a little sprout right there. I think it's about time to get this in some dirt. As you can see in the picture, I've added it to a pot with some dirt to get it established and not go into shock. And eventually, after a couple of weeks, you can see that I added it to my nice big planter urn. And after a couple of months, this is how beautiful it looks now. Geraniums are annuals, which means if you don't overwinter them in the house or in a greenhouse, like what I have on here, they won't survive cold, harsh temperatures in the winter months. Here in Oklahoma, they are great summer flowering plants because they tolerate the sun and the heat very well. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take a cutting of a leaf stem, of a flower stem, and of a main root stem, and we'll compare and see how they do as a cutting in the house. Here are the three I'm going to use: flowering stem, leaf stem, and this one I took one of the main limbs with leaves that should produce flowers. So let's see how they do. All right, it's day 7 for our geranium leaf flower and main stem. So let's take a look. If you notice, the color on our geranium leaf hasn't faltered that much. The bloom on our geranium flower still looks pretty good. Our main stem of our geranium looking a little yellow. Got a couple of little green ones in there. We can see that when I pull it out. Let's take a look and see what we got. Well, a little bit of discoloration, and I'm not sure if you can tell or not, but a little bit of swelling down there at the end. So maybe maybe something might be getting started on that one. Let's see if I can get this out without knocking too many blooms off. Let's see what our, kind of the same thing here. A little bit of swelling down there at the tip, you can tell. So maybe in another 7 days we might see something there. Alright, let me pull my main stem out here, and you can see we still got 2 nice little green leaves there. Let's see if we can see anything here. Not much activity yet. So we'll see what it does over the next 7 days. And I think what I might do is I might clip these yellow leaves off so that it's not expending a lot of energy trying to keep those alive. So we'll check back in another 7 days. All right, day 14. Let's take a look at our geraniums. Still not looking too bad. No definitive roots sprouting yet, but leaves still looking pretty green, somewhat healthy. Let's look at the leaf cutting that I took. We notice our leaf is starting to get a little bit yellow. No definitive roots or anything sprouting yet, but actually, you probably won't be able to see it here. No, I can't get it clear enough, but it looks like there might be something starting to happen down there. And here's our flower cutting, and if you notice, the blooms are starting to drop, which was to be expected. Kind of the same thing here. Still a little swelling at the bottom, but no definitive roots trying to sprout, so we'll leave that one as well and see what happens. Over the next 10 days, the geranium leaf and the geranium flower stem really took a drastic hit and just wilted away next to nothing. Over those 10 days, the geranium main stem started to show some root sprouts, and you'll see what it looks like here in just a few minutes in the next image. Finally, we've got some roots. Now we're going to get it in a pot. I did the same process with the geranium cutting as I did with the purslane. I added it to a pot with some dirt, some soil, to get it established and not go into shock. And then once it looked like it bounced back and had some fairly good looking leaves on it, I transplanted it to a larger pot on my back patio. And the last image is what it looks like now. Let's take a look at another example. I have some lettuce and some spinach. Here is day 1 for the lettuce and the spinach. Be sure to make note of the initial observations as far as what it looks like, color, anything that seems important. Moving on to day 7. Again, here's our lettuce and our spinach. Make any observations about noticeable or unnoticeable changes between the lettuce and the spinach. Here we are at day 14. I'm sure you'll see some changes. Be sure to look closely at noticeable or unnoticeable changes from day 1 to day 7 to day 14. As you notice from day 14, there were some observable changes. The spinach continued to deteriorate, and at day 17, it was next to nothing left. And at day 20, the lettuce, pretty much nothing left of it either. And I wonder why that might have happened. Maybe it had something to do with this. I'll let you in on a little secret. The spinach and the lettuce cuttings were not straight from a plant out of my garden. It came from a container from the store. Now it's time for the lab report. Good luck.